Boom! Out of nowhere, Chelsea are on the verge of signing Pedro Neto. Agreed on player side, price agreed, medical booked. It's like a 99% done deal. And it's kind of come out of nowhere because the video I made earlier today was talking about how Pedro Neto would be a good signing for Tottenham Hotspur. And, how I think Tottenham and Man City and clubs will be reaching out for Pedro Neto. He's a player that would have been my Elise alternative at Manchester United. And as a Manchester United fan, I'm annoyed he's going to Chelsea because I love Pedro Neto, but I also know that United can't get Pedro Neto because our defence is all injured and we need a midfield to address. At least we've got Amad Garnacho and Rashford that can play on the wings. So I wasn't expecting United to go for Pedro Neto, but I'm still a bit annoyed. I'm still a bit jealous because he's a fantastic player. Now, I've done a lot of videos talking about Pedro Neto. Here, this is things I've wrote 2 months ago, 3 months ago on Pedro Neto. I will talk about the player, why he suits Maresca, why he's a good signing, about his strengths and all of that. Because I've done so many videos talking about how good Pedro Neto is. I've got my research here already, so I can get this video out quick. But let's get into the news on Pedro Neto, Chelsea fans, and then they're going to talk about why it's a joke. It's a joke because I'm jealous. That's all. It's a fantastic signing. I know that Chelsea stockpile on wingers. I know he's injury prone, but he's the best option after Elise on the market. I mean, Nico Williams obviously, but the wages, it wasn't going to happen. Pedro Neto putting in crosses to a physical striker, bosh. Pedro Neto Maresca ball, bosh. Still think you need a top centre back if you could get one, but I think Pedro Neto, he's a player. So Chelsea reached an agreement with Wolverhampton Wanderers to sign Pedro Neto. The fee is €60 million plus 3 million add-ons. 24-year-old Portugal international winger set to undergo medical before completing transfer. So Ornstein Romano, Fabrice Hawkins, who's one of the most reliable journalists out there, saying that the deal is agreed, the price is agreed, he's going to undergo his medical. That basically means done deal unless something crazy happens. So it's 99% done. Chelsea are in advanced talks to sign Pedro Neto, as Fabrice Hawkins reports. Negotiations are taking place with the Portuguese winger and Wolves. He's one of the main targets for the position, said Romano. Romano said that Chelsea have reached an agreement with Neto's agent, George Mendes. No issue on salary. Club-to-club talks ongoing to get the deal done as requested. £60 million. He's on top of new wingers. Wolves are already targeting Ajax winner Carlos Forbes as a replacement to Neto in case the Chelsea deal will be completed. Considering Wolves are already looking at a replacement, I think that means the deal's going to be completed. It was also said that Chelsea have reached an agreement with Pedro Neto's agent, and Pedro Neto is set to join Chelsea. So, in terms of news, I mean, considering I was talking about how Tottenham are interested in this guy earlier today, and Man City are in this guy earlier today, and the interest in Neto was stepping up, it looks like Neto is joining Chelsea. He's a player that I think now Elise is gone, Nico Williams' wages, he's injury prone, his shot volume can improve, but I think this is a phenomenal sign for Chelsea because I am the Pedro Neto fan club. I am the Pedro Neto fan club. I don't want him to be going to Chelsea, but I am. So let's talk about it. So this is his statistics per 90 versus Premier League wingers. Assists per 90, he ranks first. Now, Enzo Maresca has made it clear that he sees Cole Palmer in a central role. The thing about Pedro Neto is he can play left wing and right wing. So if Madueke stays, Madueke on the right, Pedro Neto on the left. Because I actually do think that Madueke has shown a bit more promise than Sterling and Mudryk for Chelsea. So potentially a left wing is maybe what you'd look at. But because Cole Palmer can also play on the right. But with Pedro Neto, yes, he predominantly played on the right last season, but he's actually played the majority of his career as a left winger, but last season, majority of that's a right winger. Accelerations, assists, he ranks first. He's very good at getting the ball in. You've signed a physical striker and that guy from Atletico Madrid. Pedro Neto, delivery, got that. Passes into the penalty area, fourth, crosses fourth. Pedro Neto is a player that when he gets the ball, he makes things happen. He's very good 1v1. He's a very good dribbler. He's very good at taking advantage of space. Enzo Maresca's principles is all about finding the space. Pedro Neto is very good at that. Progressive runs, 8th. Accurate forward passes, 8th. Offensive duels, 10th. Shot assists, 11th. Expected assists, 13th. Assists first. Assists first, accelerations first, crosses 4th, passes into penalty 4th. Dribble 7th, successful attacking actions 8th. Just gives you an indication of how good he is. When he gets the ball, he drives, he puts in a cross, he gets down the byline, he makes things happen. He's one of those guys, he makes things happen. He's direct, he's a fantastic player. So these were his stats. Now, a lot of what I'm going to show you is from my analysis I did on Pedro Neto in April. I did this big analysis on Pedro Neto in April about why it's a really good signing for Tottenham, Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, but I had a particular focus towards Tottenham and Newcastle because they were the two sides looking at a right winger at the time. But I'm going to go through these notes anyway. So this is Pedro Neto's sort of career. This was obviously him last season. He can play centre forward, left wing, attacking midfield, right wing. Incredibly versatile. And Cuckoo, Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, 3 incredibly versatile players that you're going to have in your front line. So 1,500 minutes, he got 11 assists and 3 goals. I mean, 3 goals isn't the best, but actually when you look at his shooting volume, he's just a very unselfish player. 11 goal contributions in 1,300 Premier League minutes in 16 games. Really good statistics, very good player, and that would only improve at Chelsea in a more possession-dominant side. The only worry with Pedro Neto is the lack of minutes, the injuries. Chelsea had issues with injury. Reece James, on his day, best right back in the league, up there with Trent. He's up there with Trent. But Reece James isn't always available, and that is the one problem you've got with Pedro Neto. But I am going to say this: I think Chelsea will suffer less injuries under Maresca than they will under Poch. Poch was more transitional, and it was more about burst and speed. Enzo Maresca's principles was more about letting the ball do the work. It's a little bit slower because it's more, you let the ball do the work, you pass it around. So I do think that actually the demands of Enzo Maresca ball is more in your mind than physically, so it could help with injuries. This is Pedro Neto compared with Madueke and Mudryk. Madueke is the yellow, and you can see very similar to Pedro Neto in dribbles and carries and non-penalty goals per 90. But obviously Pedro Neto in assists, expected goals and assists and key passes beats out the Chelsea wingers in terms of output. And also Pedro Neto is doing this for a Wolves side, but he gets a lot less of the ball, so his metrics would only be even higher in a Chelsea side. So let's talk about Pedro Neto, the kind of player he is. Now, I did do this analysis with me talking about Spurs in mind a couple of days ago. Some of this was done a couple of days ago. Some of this was done 3 months ago, but I've tried to relate it to Chelsea. So Pedro Neto is versatile. He can play across the front three. He's fast. He's direct. He's very good in 1v1 situations. He's a very good ball progressor. When you're defending a corner, and if Chelsea win the ball back from a corner, the amount of times that Pedro Neto has got the ball from Wolves defending a corner and taking it up the other end and putting it across and influence some kind of goal or something, it's been a lot. Now, he's got really good movement off the ball to find space, which is something that Maresca loves. It's about passing the ball around and then overloading an area and finding a space. And Pedro Neto has the IQ to do that. He's got the quick feet. He's very effective at dribbling because he feints his bodies to throw off defenders. He can manipulate defenders, and he's very difficult to tackle. He's very, quite press resistant, very good in tight areas, which Maresca will like, but he's very good at going out of tight areas and then getting into space, which is what Maresca wants from his attackers. His agility, his body control is something that is unbelievable for a guy that he can deal with the physicality of the Premier League. He's Premier League proven. Some top wingers come over to the Premier League and they can't do it, but Neto has done it. To get out of tight spaces, to find space, which is what Maresca will like, and have a natural creator. He ticks all of Maresca's boxes. The question is, you've got obviously like a lot of players like Esteval coming in to be a future right winger. You've got a lot of young talent, particularly, and quite a lot of right wingers that are left-footed that are similar profile to Neto. And you almost think, should Chelsea have spent that much money on this many youngsters if they were going to sign Pedro Neto? I think the question is still about Chelsea's strategy seems to be more about quantity rather than quality, signing everyone that's young and good. But Pedro Neto is different. Pedro Neto is someone that's ready. Pedro Neto is someone that's good. But I think you've got an overload of talent. And that's not necessarily a bad position to be in, but you've got so many talented players that are similar profiles, but at the same time, you need a ready-made winger, and he can play on the left-hand side. Work rate, pressing, very good fit for Maresca's system. He's got what you want off the ball. He's got the IQ. Now, where he thrives, as for me, is dribbling, elite in transitions and counter-attack. Not so much Maresca play, more suited to Poch play this element of his game. But this gives Chelsea, in the big games when they're going to be more counter-attacking, this gives them an outlet. Very good 1v1. He's like Madueke. Very good 1v1. Dribbling skills, ability to create versus low blocks. Very, very good. Helps Chelsea. Now, one thing I don't think Chelsea had an issue with last season was creating. I think Cole Palmer was phenomenal, but I think they missed a few chances. But he will help Chelsea be able to create. The talent is there. He's an aggressive winger. He looks to get down the byline, put in a cross. Maresca wants his wingers to cross and deliver. That's what worked so well for Leicester in the Championship. You've got that in Neto. Acceleration, change in pace is something that's good. I think the reason Cole Palmer is going to play centrally for Maresca is because he likes really, really fast wingers. Intensity on and off the ball, Neto brings that. Technique, he brings that. He can dribble out wide. He can stretch the width. He can help create space for Chelsea to take advantage of and play the ball into space, which is exactly what Maresca will want. But he's also comfortable at coming inside, going into the half space, making those turns, making those through balls, passing between the lines, playing between the lines. operating between the lines. You get that with Pedro Neto. He can go inside, he can go outside. He's a two-way winger. He's a winger that gets the ball, he drives forward, he makes things happen. He is the winger that you want. You don't want those predictable wingers. He's unpredictable. He can go either way. He can take it on both feet. He's very, very good. And in terms of his agility, in terms of his ball retention, in terms of his IQ, his movement, his work rate, he ticks all the boxes. He's in the 99th percentile for assists per 90. Despite 2 goals this season in the Premier League, his ball striking is good, and it is an underrated part of his game. I think under Maresca and at Chelsea, he'll be encouraged to shoot more, and you know that he can score goals. Decision-making in the final third is probably levels ahead. I think Madueke is quite a good player, and Mudryk is shown he can be quite a good player, and they have good qualities about them, but their decision-making at times, I think it can be questionable. Same with Sterling. He obviously said Ange wants his wingers to square and play the ball and low crosses in. That's obviously in relation to the Tottenham analysis I did, but Maresca likes his wingers to cross more physically in the air, which I think is why you brought the Atletico Madrid guy, because he's a box striker, and I think Maresca likes that. But Neto can do those byline crosses, he can do those in the air crosses. He likes to dribble, he likes to press, he likes to make things happen. Areas to improve is injuries. That's the probably biggest negative on the deal, and then shot volume. And then I thought I'd include this, and this is from my analysis of Pedro Neto I did in about March time. So these stats are from March time, but this is Pedro Neto versus Saka versus Foden, possession per 90 statistics, where Peto ranks Pedro Neto in terms of non-penalty goals per 90 against Saka and Foden, who had 2 of the best seasons, was second in possession, and Maresca's a possession-based side. So you're thinking Pedro Neto in a possession-based side, where he compares to these guys: first for expected assists, second for non-penalty expected goals, first for non-penalty expected goals and assists above Saka and Foden. If he was playing in the possession-based side, his output could be better than Saka and Foden. It's not saying that it is, but these are the statistics for the sake of it. Dribbles, obviously, levels ahead of Saka and Foden. Progressive carries, level ahead of Saka and Foden, although I expect that to be a bit lower at Chelsea, but his other goal numbers to be higher. Crosses, 17.69. Maresca loves a cross. Progressive passes, 7.29. So you can see him in relation to those players there. And I have to say, I'm very jealous. It looks like he's going to join Chelsea unless something crazy happens. Let me know your thoughts, Chelsea fans. I'll probably do another video once you get the deal announced. Bye.